No, it definitely looks more like a halo over my head than a UFO.
I would call it a UFO-ish.
Hey, Aaron, you still owe me a guide trip, by the way.
Oh man,
You think I
hoping you don't forget about that.
I don't forget. I don't forget.
Well, you better get signed up soon.
Why?
Spring's filling up fast.
Good.
So,
when do you want me down there? Just tell me when.
Oh shit! I don't know. We got to consult the schedule book. Does it got to be a weekend?
No. How about this? If somebody wanted to book a guide trip with you, what time of year should they book a guide trip with you to have like the highest quality fishing?
I have pretty damn good luck in November.
So you like fall?
I do. I have really good luck in that April time frame too.
Yeah.
And Aaron, you're on the Mississippi, but where are you, like state-wise?
So I'm actually in a little town called Bunker Hill, Illinois. It's about a half hour northeast of Alton there. But we operate pretty much from the Winfield Dam all the way down to close to Chester, Illinois, on the Mississippi River, and then about the first 100 miles of the Missouri River as well.
Yeah, you guys
not a bad place to fish.
No. Now to give
we cover a lot of water, bounce around a lot, try not to keep staying in the same old holes over and over again,
You can wear them out, and them fish don't sit still, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, they move up and down the river, and that being said, we kind of chase them up and down the river, and when we get a good bite in an area, we go chase that until that starts to slow down, and then move on.
Hell yeah. Well, for everyone who just hopped on and everyone who's listening later or whatever, we got Captain Aaron Jarrell. He's a guide for Show Me Catfishing, right? Still the case?
Yes, sir.
And then you've done okay in a few tournaments, not the ones where you fished against me, but other tournaments you've done pretty good.
I do recall it going both ways when I fished against you.
Oh, I'm sure. Do I even dare go down this road? I'm going to. If you want to punch me, you can punch me next time you see me. But
and even if you don't, you might as well.
Yeah, even if you
I feel like that's a heck of a way to start a conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm all about it. You were leading angler of the year in Twisted Cats until the last event a couple years ago.
Yeah, that 2024.
What happened?
So,
what an asshole, Spencer.
So what happened there? Let's dive into that. So we was fishing out of Helena.
Yeah.
I knew that there were some of the best anglers there in the country,
Mm-hmm.
So my feelings was that I was going to need to do whatever I needed to do to get out of the pack, which normally means long distance travel. So we traveled south on the Mississippi River there by about 80 miles, 75, 80 miles. I didn't take gas with me. So I think I had 2 5-gallon cans with me, and I just refused to go. I was too stubborn to go buy more. So it just, when we got down there, like all week I was going down there and it was easy. I mean, within 10 minutes I'd have a 20, 30 pounder on board and be moving on. It was so easy. Like I had them locked down. And then, I don't know, that night they just moved. And I mean, I wound up finding where they moved to but not until like 45 minutes until we had to leave to head back to weigh in.
I gotcha.
So it just didn't give me enough time. Basically, they was sitting on a ledge down a real rocky bank right at the bottom of the revetment all week. They was there all week. I'd pull up on that stretch, and there was 3 or 4 stretches in that 4 or 5 miles of river that I was fishing that I could go to at will all week and catch a fish real quickly. And then I got there and we started bumping tournament day, and I'm just looking at my graph and I'm not getting bit and I'm not seeing fish. And every now and then you'd see a fish, but nothing of size. And I knew there was something funky, and they did something, but I wasn't familiar enough with the area to know where they would go.
Where'd they end
the
up
fish
going?
that we did weigh in, as I recall, we wound up going directly across the river from where we was catching them all week. And there was some real still water there, but there was a steep bank. And as I recall, maybe even a sheer rock, bank, bluff bank, if you will. And we wound up drifting down rods and bumping really super slow to catch the fish that we did weigh in that day.
Did the water levels change?
No, I forget what happened. It just something changed. I'll be honest, I don't recall. I spend too much time on the water, so trying to think back to exactly what happened to the bite that day. I don't remember if we had a cold front, something changed, and I don't recall what it was. But the fish just moved. They moved from the fast water into the calmer water, and we picked up on it by the end of the day. But unfortunately, like I said, we didn't catch our first fish that day until 45 minutes before we had to leave. Yeah. Which, I mean, by going that far out and not taking really enough fuel, I wasn't able to make that run full speed. I had to keep the boat at like 3,500, 4,000 RPM on the way down there, and I allowed myself like 5,000 RPM on the way back. But I mean, it slows you down,
It eats up a lot of time for sure.
Yeah. It does, So, I mean, we wound up having to leave down there, as I recall, at like, I don't know, 2:15. So we gave up 45 minutes of fishing time to be able to make that run.
Yeah, that's the difference in a limit or not, though.
It really is.
Should not.
I mean, when you don't find them until 1 or 1:30, and you got to leave at 2:15, 2:30, that doesn't give you a whole lot of time to start looking at those different types of water, meaning there was a lot more calm water, and I'm sure we probably could have caught some fish in those too. But, when you only have 45 minutes, you can only cover so much water.
Well, so this must have been before you fished Perryville, because you had like 17 jerry cans on the front of your boat, or were all those Ryan's jerry cans?
No, those were my jerry cans. So
you made a big investment after this experience?
Yeah, I did. I went from 2 to like, I don't know. We just cleaned out the garage, so I'm pretty sure there's at least 10 6-gallon cans out there right now. So
I think that's the only thing I don't like about tournament fishing is like there's lots of times you don't always have to make a big run, but on those big rivers, like it can make a big difference in making those runs in the dark in the morning.
Oh, it's sketchy.
I hate it.
It's real sketchy. It was foggy the morning of the championship down there in Helena. Mm-hmm. And I remember Charles Blair was going down in the general direction that I was going to.
He's got radar.
And he's got radar. That's what I was getting at. So I know we ain't really supposed to help each other, but you know, I did call him that morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to tell you, and this is why. And I've got my spot. I ain't following you, but I am going to strap to your tail and trust your radar too, because I can't see nothing."
Yeah, that's it. That it scares me, man. What so you fish a ton of tournaments. Like I just said what I hate about tournaments. Why do you fish tournaments? Like, what's your favorite thing about the tournament fishing?
For me, it's really about the camaraderie and the competition between, you know, your catfish brothers. You know, we all have the same passion for the river and for you know, catching these big catfish. And you know, I mean, it's just that's really what it's all about for me. It's more about the Friday night get-togethers before the night before the tournament. You know, the barbecues, the nights out at Mexican. You know, I run so much up here between the construction company and guiding that I don't really have much time to slow down. So that's kind of my time to slow down and have a few beers with my buddies and you know, I'm not going to be doing very many tournaments this year, but that's mainly because, you know, guiding's starting to take off and I really need to be in town because I mean each tournament that I do, I want to do well, so I'm going to invest most of them the better part of a week in pre-fishing and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, it's a lot of time out of town.
Oh yeah. No,
yeah, that's my biggest drawback as well.
What's that?
The time.
Well, you know, you didn't have time to go fishing today.
I mean, the effort I have zero issues with. It's the time aspect that really drags me down with tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be a Mike Keel, for example, and just show up the day before and do well all over the country.
That guy's a freak. Like
we can't all do that. Like there's some guys that can do that. I know a handful of them and they do well a lot of times when they show up. And they rarely ever even do more than just look for one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even begin to cover the water that I look at for a tournament in one day. No way.
You know more about the area before they set foot on it than I do after a week of pre-fishing.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
guys, I swear to God, they just have gills. Like,
they do.
Like that. I mean, the dude you're talking about and a handful of others, it's before they get there, they know the general area they want to look at. They go drive around it for 2 hours and then they go to the check-in the night before and call it good and then top 10 the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've tried that and it just, you know, I'm a very curious person, so I got to look at it all. I don't always just zone in on one pattern right away, even though if I'm picking up on that pattern, I might still look at other patterns because there might be something better, you know? So,
180-pound fish will go a long ways.
Yeah. You know, so, I mean, there's been a lot of tournaments where, you know, we went someplace, for example, that we didn't expect to catch really large fish, but we expected to catch fish quickly and put our 3 or 5 fish in the boat, whatever it is, wherever we're at. And then you go somewhere else and go looking for that big one. Or if it's a morning bite for them big fish, then you go straight for them and, you know, hope you have enough time left over to at least put a bag in if it don't work out.
Sure.
What do you feel about the week before pressure? Because let's say you got a good sized tournament, you got 150 boats running up and down for a week and stabbing fish in the face.
Every tournament on Wheeler, you just described.
What do you feel how do you feel those fish react versus day one of pre-fishing versus tournament time? Because I've noticed a huge difference.
So, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I tend to do longer runs is because, you know, a fish that's heavily pressured, if a fish is, in my opinion, if a fish is caught, you know, a day or two before the tournament, he's not going to bite again. Or if he does, he's not going to stay in that area. He's not going to stay there.
And it is possible. I think it is possible they would bite, but like if you had 10 fish in an area, 3 were actively feeding and 3 get caught, the odds of those 3 eating again just dropped like significantly.
Right. Well, and I mean, there's an exception to everything when you're talking about nature. You know,
absolutely.
I can say, you know, Mike Mitchell from the Clinton area caught an 87 pounder on my boat. Not this last fall, but the fall before that. And that fish actually hit his buddy's rod, broke that rod, took the rod and reel off in the water, and not even 10 minutes later, we caught it on another rod. And I pulled the rod up off the bottom of the river.
So you got it back. That's
I still use the reel. So,
will
they bite again? Yeah, you know, if you get the right fish, you know, but I mean, I've had deer that I've been shooting at run closer to me too. That's not normal. You know?
It's just like, oh God, just give me one more chance. Bam,
right.
Get your rod back.
Right.
And I've had that happen one night. I missed a fish and cast back in within 5 minutes, caught a 25 pounder, which I'm guessing was the same fish.
I
think the opposite happened to me where I had one hit a rod so hard that it busted my leader before I could even get to the rod. And I'm like, come on, just give me one more chance. And then 2 hours later, one hits it and does the same damn thing. Busts me up.
Oh, shit. I think it's time for you to find a new leader material, bud.
He forgot to adapt.
I backed the drag off even too, but that's why I only fish with 80 for when I'm on big rivers. I don't mess. That was the last day I used 60-pound leader on big rivers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, especially on the big rivers, for me, I don't switch from 80 for anything. I come right up there to Fort Madison and Burlington and fish with 80-pound leaders and 100-pound Power Pro.
Sure.
I don't think it affects me at all. I do downsize my hook a lot of times.
I mean, they're channel cat. They're going to eat.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Exactly.
I do think it matters when the water's cold. That's my caveat I'll throw in there.
I think it matters, maybe when the water's super clear. Sure. But like we never have to worry about that around here. I mean, clear water in our rivers is a foot and a half of visibility, and we think it's crystal clear.
Right.
So
I guarantee you, it matters when it matters. I do guarantee.
Oh yeah.
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 And you just don't know until you know.
Right.
Like,
right.
And that I do know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could, go ahead.
I think the number one thing for tournament fishing and, you know, being successful at it and just fishing in general would be don't get stuck in a rut. Don't be a hole fisherman, meaning I caught a 50-pounder here 10 years ago, so I'm going to go fish there today. Well, if there's no fish there, don't fish that spot. Yeah. So
you can't catch it if they ain't there.
Right, exactly. You know, I've got spots and particular brush piles that I like to fish and that have been good to me. But if I roll over top of them and I don't see any fish in them, I'm not going to stop.
But you're going to look. I'm not going to just blow by them.
They're not good all
I'm going to look.
Like if the Mississippi's running 500,000 or if it's running 100,000 CFS, you're not going to fish the same stuff.
No.
Because conditions. Yeah. Or I mean, you might, but you just, if you're the spot guy, you know, like you'll have a good day here and there, but what they say, a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah. I got a buddy of mine.
Tournament, you're going to do all right.
Yeah.
Goes straight for the Alton Dam every time. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. And I mean, I fish the Alton Dam certain times of year, you know. But
They got Volkswagens.
he goes straight for it, and it doesn't matter if there's fish there or not. He's going to go set up where he can and
Yep.
pitch out a bait and prey. And if you do that, then you're a lot less likely to be successsul.
He does a lot better in spring tournaments than fall tournaments.
Yeah, he doesn't fish tournaments. He just goes out for pleasure. So
I will say, when all else fails, fish a dam. That's been my mentality. Like, there's always some fish at a dam. Now, is it the best place to be? Is it the tournament winning spot? That varies a lot. But like, if I'm fishing and it just sucks and I can't get a damn bite and there is a dam somewhere around, I'm going there.
yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong checking them, because I mean, everybody thinks they're just a springtime thing, and they are a good place to be in the spring. But I mean, I have went there at random times when no one else was fishing it, the Alton Dam in particular, and did just fine,
Yeah.
High
well
water.
pulled up. And then you go back a week later and they're gone again, So why was they there at that time? I don't know, but
I mean, there's something about a water rise that definitely pushes them upstream.
Yeah.
I
used to think springtime made a big difference. Like, well, I'll fish those little creeks and dump my kayak in and stuff and chase flatheads in them. And I used to think you needed high water in the spring, and that was the only time the high water mattered, where those fish would run up them a long ways. But I don't think so. Like, if we had a big high water event in July, I think there'd still be plenty of flatheads that would run up those little creeks, and you could catch them like on the backside where it drops a little bit, then stabilizes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why fight the current? All the bait fish is going to push up.
But that's why I don't get why, when the water comes up, and that's when they move. Like, okay, the current's running 4 miles an hour. Now I'm going to go for a run. You think?
Well, in Iowa, they don't have a choice, because if the water's not up, they ain't getting through.
But they do it everywhere. Like, they can go swim anywhere they want on the Mississippi anytime, but they don't make those big runs till the water shoots up. And there's probably times that I'm just not aware of. I absolutely am aware that I don't know everything or know very little, but I do know those fish can swim
most of it. So
right, but those fish can swim anywhere they want, even when the river is extremely low. It's not like it's too shallow for them to get where they want to go, but it seems like when the water shoots up, that's when they take off.
I mean, I always go back to the phrase that genetics are hard to overcome. They're wired that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know why they do half the shit they do.
I can relate. I'm just wired wrong.
I don't know. Have you ever fished the Spoon River at all, Spencer?
The what?
The Spoon River in Illinois?
No, I try to stay out of that state as much as I can.
I don't blame you. It's a terrible.
Wanted posters.
I'm wearing my Cubs hat.
Yeah.
Staying out of Illinois. No, I haven't fished it. There's a couple tributaries of the Mississippi that intrigue me a lot, and
well, that one's a tributary of the Illinois. It's kind of a little bit south of Decatur. Trying to think. I think that's close to Havana, Illinois.
I think Ryan had some clients that fished there and did well.
Yes. They have a house right on the bank.
Yeah.
You being a flathead guy, you should check that out in like April. That would be your type of water.
I have I'm going to do a trip in March into April, and I'm going to head down south, but I'm going to hit a couple waterways on the way back home and schedule my time around that. And there's a couple Mississippi River trips, but I'll look at that one on the map and see what.
just a little tributary river, dumps into the Illinois River. And I mean, I've got a buddy of mine that lives up there, and they catch some hog flatheads in that river, around April-ish. It all depends on water level. Like you said, it's normally when the water starts to come up. But there's a low water dam spillway, and they call it the Bernie Dot Dam. And I know in the spring
they spots, bud. But they're not your spots, so go ahead.
Yeah, they're not my spots. It's been 7 years since I fished this spot, but I know they pull 50, 60 pound flatheads out of there commonly around the time.
Yeah.
But I've thought about going up and playing on that section of river, because it's not a real big section of river. I think you could probably, fish it all in probably a day and a half, 2 days, but
sounds like my kind of place.
So
well, let's move.
It's not a type of water that I'd want to take the Easy Cat on.
Sure. Sounds like my kind of water.
Yeah. You'd be more of a boat dock than a boat.
Yeah.
So fishing tip ideas. You're on big water that is the home of the biggest fish in the entire freaking country, and you're fishing for them. If you could give one tip to just like everybody listening, just like one general tip on how they can give themselves the best odds of catching the biggest fish possible, what's like something they could do?
Well, I'll give out 2.
Oh,
so
overachiever. I like it.
I'm an overachiever. I'll give out 2. I am a big believer when you're anchor fishing that you should use some type of Carolina rig. I don't like freeways and stuff like that. I don't want them to be able to feel the weight. So use as light a weight as possible to keep your bait on the bottom. And, make sure you're using some type of Carolina rig.
Like a sliding sinker rig.
Sinker slider or something like that.
Yeah.
And then other than that, basics, guys, ledges, no matter where you go in the country, you can always catch fish on ledges, either on the top side, bottom side. There's always going to be fish on ledges.
That's solid advice. So you think those fish bite so light at times where they'll drop a bait if it's on a fixed sinker?
Absolutely.
Like even a 100-pound Bluecat.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's
absolutely
good information.
Me and Ryan went out a couple weeks ago and just kind of fiddling around, checking out some areas we hadn't been in a while, and wound up catching one that was a little over 50. And that fish, until we reeled down on it, it never bent the rod tip.
Really?
It just
That's
sit there and
sickening, isn't it?
did this. And, we'd all say, oh, that's just a dink or whatever, or garfish or whatever. We reeled in a 52-pounder, guys. So I think I don't really think they grow out of it. I think all the Bluecats, get in a mood. I think the barometric pressure affects their mood a lot. So, and I think that's why there's some days where you go to a spot and you just absolutely annihilate the fish. And then the next day, for example, you go back, or even hours later, you go back, there's still fish there, but they won't eat.
Yeah. I wanted to hear how confident you were in your response. I couldn't agree with you more. And if I didn't agree with you, I'd give you shit about it. But this time I actually do. I mean, you can look back at my YouTube videos, like me giving tips and shit where, I don't know, like giving tips on rigging and things where I would run a fixed sinker just because when you get snagged, it's easier to hop that rig off of the snag and not lose your hook and everything. But kind of over the last 3-4 years or so, I've started noticing like fish that are biting light, and then you finally get a hook in them, and they're like a 35-pound flathead. And then I started using more sliding Carolina style rigs versus a fixed sinker rig, and then all right, now I'm getting more of those light biting fish. So just basically, that's a long-winded way of saying I agree with that 100%.
Well,
Yeah, I
on
mean,
that caveat, do you think angle of the rod makes a difference? Like,
That's a good point.
would that subtle difference in friction make a difference?
I don't like my rods to be standing up too tall. I don't know what it is about that, but I do have one rod holder on my boat that's on a rail. It's on one of those rails, and so I've got it tilted back a little bit, and I did that for when I'm drifting, just down rods. That way my rod tip isn't in the water.
Yeah.
But I don't like that particular rod holder for anchor fishing because it stands my rod up too high. And I feel like they can feel it a little bit faster when that rod's standing up.
What are you using for rods? Because I think that makes
Lister width across the board, 10-footers and 7.5.
I got you. Well, that's as soft as a rod as you get, and you still think that makes a big difference.
Oh, it absolutely does.
So that,
and of course, you're a circle hook guy, right?
We're in a heavily pressured area. I mean, year after year, we're getting more and more tournaments in our area. We're getting more and more tournament fishermen. More and more guys are going out and buying a boat and doing it on their own. And they're doing it across the country. And it's great to see. But it does make it to where our fishery is a lot more pressured than it was, let's say, 15, 16 years ago when Show Me first started. I hear stories from Russ and Ryan about how they'd go downtown and it was nothing to catch 20, 25 Bluecat in 4 or 5 hours. Nowadays, if you catch 20 or 25 Bluecat in an outing, even if it is an 8-hour trip, that's a fantastic day,
Right.
So
yes,
you was really on them. So the bite has definitely changed, and I do think it's due to fishing pressure.
Oh, fishing pressure is huge, man. I mean, you said you see it in the tournaments, and I've seen it in the tournaments, and I see it when I'm out and about fishing. Like, one of the number one things I do when I'm fishing is just look for prime habitat, but I'll fish worse habitat in unpressured water versus prime habitat in pressured water, and do better when I go that route. Like, I want to find that river. I want to find that river that nobody in that spot on that river that nobody can get to. And those are my favorite. Like the rivers where I got to slide my kayak down a bank and I'm in the middle of freaking nowhere. Like, those are the best fishing spots.
Well, you can see it even in like tournaments like Bassmaster tournaments and stuff. A lot of them pros go way back to these creeks and stuff and get in these little ponds, these little side ponds or whatever. They go way back up in there, and you see these pros going through a foot of water with naggles everywhere, and you're sitting there thinking, man, that's a pretty bass boat. But
mud and shit and sauce.
They're doing the same thing. They're just trying to get to less pressured fish.
They just grind off the glitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why you see more aluminum boats in bass fishing now than you used to.
Yeah.
Well, there's a train of thought that if you enjoy the ride to your fishing hole, you're going to the wrong fishing hole.
I've never
it
thought
shouldn't be an enjoyable trip. You should have to kind of earn it a little bit.
Yeah.
It does make the outcome, even if the outcome was the same, I appreciate it more when you got to work to get them, it's not a real adventure if it doesn't suck at least a little bit, and I like adventure.
That's the meathead coming out in you, bud.
But I don't like worrying if I'm going to get ran over by a barge. That goes from adventure to just scary.
They're quieter than you would think, too. Like, if you're out there fishing at nighttime, they will sneak up on you so fast.
Oh, my God, it's terrifying. And then
especially when you're bumping, you're concentrating on what you're doing, and you look up, you're like, oh, shit. evasive maneuvers coming up.
Yeah, I mean, when you're driving up at night and you see them, you have this thing that's like 80 to 120 feet wide and like 400 feet long, and it's got 4 freaking lights on it that are the size that are this big. And I'm just like squinting my eyes. I'm like, is that one red? Is it white? Like, is that the front end? Is that the back end? Am I gonna die? Like, I don't know.
They're all options. They're all options.
They are.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to dodge them. Marine radios out there, especially you get downtown and stuff like that, are quite helpful. I don't think I could operate downtown without one, because there's a lot of times where, I'm fishing a spot, for example, and a barge is pushing a tow my direction, and my guess is that they're going to come in and I'm going to need to move, but I can hail them on the radio and say, hey, am I in your way? And a lot of times they'll say, no, I'll be able to get around you. But sometimes they're like, yeah, get the heck out of there. And you do,
I'm sure it's very colorful too, how they tell you
to
get out
of the way. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that'll talk to you are the best. They're the easy ones. The ones that don't want to talk to you, they just want to roll up on you and start blowing the horn, and you're sitting there like reeling your reels in like 1,000-mile an hour. There's smoke coming off the Dakotas,
Right.
And you're like, I can't just take off. I've got rods out,
Right.
But they can't exactly stop either. So you just wind up hurrying up,
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't done a bullhead yet. We need a bullhead.
Somebody commented earlier that my drink's the size of my arm. This is my breakfast salad.
I feel
There
like
you go.
Little gelato.
With that.
Full of vitamins,
Minerals, testosterone, all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff.
All of it.
out of my sweatshirt.
All of it.
Aaron, how'd you end up guiding? Like, what led you there?
Well, I've always loved fishing. I always thought, being a professional fisherman was the coolest job ever. And never
Until
really
you
thought
got
I had
it,
a
then
hope in prayer. Well, I will say, if you're a guide for catfish like we are, you got to supply bait for every trip. And so bait turns into your nemesis when you need as much as we do.
Yes.
There's sometimes when it's super easy, and there's other times where you work all day the day before to get it.
Yeah. In the spring, you're like, yes, this is going to be a great year.
Yeah.
I will say,
summer.
Aaron, what you do is, from a guiding perspective, is the toughest guiding in catfishing, because you need bait in large quantities and you need it regularly. Like with the flathead side of things, I can have a bait tank. I can keep live bait in healthy condition, and I can put them in a bait tank in the boat. And if I don't use them all, I put them back in the bait tank, where you need a consistent source of fresh cut bait in large quantities. And that's the toughest. It's not even close.
So that's the tough of it. But to answer the question of how I wound up here, I became a fan of Ryan's years ago, probably not shortly after he started Show Me Catfishing. I started watching, like Monster Quest when it came out.
Yeah.
And all of his videos with Scott Turnage and Mike Iaconelli and all that. And I'm sitting there thinking, this dude's the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Well, and to interrupt you real quick, just so everyone understands, he's talking about Captain Ryan Casey, one of the OGs in Big River catfishing. There are guys who've been doing it longer than him, but he's been refining the system for a long time, and just
he's a St. Louis icon.
He is.
There's no one else I'd like to have on board when I'm looking for them big blues than
Absolutely.
him. So.
But anyway, back to what you're saying. Sorry, I just
I became a client of Ryan's. I started going out with him a couple times a year for a couple of years in a row. we became friends. So, and then I started kind of being a little bit of a roadie, if you will, meaning like I went down to CatCon with him one year, helped him at the booth, stuff like that. Kind of heard a rumor that he was maybe thinking about adding another captain, and finally grew up the nerve to ask him if I could be that captain if I got my captain's license, and he said, "Yeah, that was sometime around 2020, late 2023, early 2024, something like that."
Mm-hmm.
And went and got my captain's license. He let me join, show me, was gracious enough to show me kind of a way to tweak my fishing and thinking about the river, to get me catching more fish more consistently. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. When you spend every day out there, you start to look at, like the backside of dikes, and we all think, well, we roll in and we set up on the tip of the dike and we fan out rods, right? Down the current.
You just said the backside of dikes. It just hit me a little different. Maybe my mind's in a bad place.
Yeah. Get away from Tango and Cash there, buddy.
Sorry. Anyway, continue.
but I find myself more looking at how does the current move behind that particular one now, sure. Stuff like that. It's just little things that, he was gracious enough to share with me. So
do you think the current on the backside of the dike means more than the structure on the backside of the dike?
Absolutely.
For blues, more than flats. Absolutely.
If you're not set up on the current correctly, you won't catch the fish no matter what you do, in my opinion.
You're the second person I've heard say that in the last month who fishes.
That's why I don't like fishing lakes, is because with lakes, you got to be like, I feel like with river fish, especially fish that are positioned in current, as long as you got your bait upstream within a reasonable distance of that fish, if he's hungry, he's going to come get it. Because that scent's going to be carried to him.
Yeah.
If you get 5 feet behind him, if he don't turn around and go downstream, he has no clue that bait's there. That's my opinion on it in a current situation. So that being said, you need to position yourself in a manner, in my opinion, to where you can get your baits in front of whatever you're trying to fish, whether it be a flat, a brush pile, whatever.
Yeah, you want to lead them.
Yeah. So I mean, if the particular dike has a back eddy, for example, and you're set up on the rocks on the backside of the dike, casting downriver, what would typically be downriver, your baits, in my opinion, are down there swirling and doing all kinds of stuff, and your likelihood of catching a fish is pretty slim.
Sure.
You already passed them.
Yeah.
Unless you got some traveling up.
Right. I mean, I've watched Bluecats on LiveScope quite a bit, and I will say I don't really know if they ever really stop.
No, they just move, man.
Watched them go from like one brush pile, one little secluded brush pile to the other, to another, and they might slow down and kind of hang around one brush pile for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they're off to the next one. So I think really the only time they stop is when they bury in the mud.
For a fish that looks like a sumo wrestler, they're freaking track stars. Like they just go. And I want to say too, I am jealous. Like there's a few people that I can bounce ideas off of, like Ryan here, and then a couple other people. But I'm jealous that you have the group of anglers that you can share thoughts, share experiences with, and then use that as a platform to like learn and grow and become a better fisherman. And there's no substitute for that. Like
there's not.
There's like fishing, and that's what makes fishing tournaments great too, is you can share things and experiences and ask questions, and a lot of people share a lot of good information with you. Usually once the tournament's over.
It's almost always once the tournament's over.
Right.
Yeah.
But
if you don't have
I
that,
found the same thing. I mean, I didn't even know how to drag for catfish until like 4 years ago. And Jason Hamilton, I'm talking to him after the Sea Arc tournament, and I'm like, man, this is what I was doing. He's like, oh no, you got to twig up your rigging like this, and all it was I was using a Carolina rig for dragging, with a structure snake, and he told me to put a three-way on. I put a three-way on, and I don't really understand why it makes a difference because you're dragging forward, but it did. I slayed him the next day.
Yeah. It's kind of the lift of the bait,
Yeah, there's subtle differences in your rigs that, everybody thinks of presentation when they think about crappie, and when they think about bass and walleye. You got to think about presentation and everything, and everybody overlooks that, in my opinion, that presentation and how important presentation is. I think that a lot of people overlook how important presentation is to catfish.
Not the good tournament fishermen and guides. They don't overlook it.
No.
Puts them there.
Yeah, the ones.
I mean, that's probably number one quality that puts them there.
Yeah, I mean it all boils down to, like I said, presentation. I don't like it at all when my bait's down there helicoptering. If my bait's down there helicoptering, I don't think I'm gonna catch anything. So
you might,
and if it's down there spinning, I don't think I'm gonna catch anything. So, I pay close attention to how I cut my bait and stuff like that.
So what Aaron's talking about, just if anyone's curious, is when you hook your bait and cast it out, he doesn't want his bait spinning in the current like a propeller. You want it laying as flat as possible, or like, because when a bait tumbles down river, it's not spinning like a damn propeller. It's kind of just tumbling,
kind of flowing through there,
flapping. So you want your bait to look as natural as possible. And there was a trip where Ryan and I and Sam
I learned this the hard way, Aaron.
Well, and I didn't say anything because they were just talking about how lucky I am, like, oh, he's just lucky he's catching fish 3 to our 1, and they would hook a bait willy-nilly, whatever, and I would make sure mine's nice and streamlined, and I caught 3 to 1 that day, and it wasn't, in that instance, it wasn't luck. It wasn't an accident. Most of the time it is, but that time it was.
Well, and my prior thought before that was I wanted my baits streamlined. So I tried to hook them to where, they were walking this way. What I didn't take into account is it wasn't on the bottom anymore. So it was up here doing this. There was nothing to stop it to walk this way. Where now, you think about the current taking it this way versus my first initial thought was this way. And it's changed into a lot more fish.
Well, Jeremy just brought up a good point there, and I'm sure you would have got to this if we let you, but we're just going to go straight to it. But if you're like, will my bait twist in the current? You just drop it off the side of the boat or the side of the bank or whatever. Just put it in the water. And if it's spinning in the current in the water, it's going to spin when you cast it out. If it's laying flat in the current when it's in the water, then it's going to be flat when you cast it out.
Correct.
Are you checking on your horses, Aaron?
No, I got to get kind of. I've got to get my charger. No, you guys don't. I was planning on having you guys on my tablet, but for some reason my tablet won't recognize the link. So I got you guys on my phone.
I want to say Doberman Pinschers. That's not it. It's
Great Danes.
Great
Danes. Yes.
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
Why Great Danes? And it's kind of funny because I like little scruffy dogs, which is the exact opposite of your Great Dane.
I like big lazy dogs.
I I appreciate a lazy dog. That's what I like about my dog Woody. Like he's small, compact, scruffy, but also lazy and enjoys to soak up the experiences. Skip's
Yeah.
just kind of an asshole and just does whatever the hell he wants.
I think
Woody's
everybody
more of the
loves it.
smell the roses type dog.
Woody is for sure. Yeah.
He'll sit there in the sun and just bask.
No, I mean when people see a Great Dane, they're like, "Oh my God, he's up to my belly button or whatever," and they're like, for like example, like 2 or 3 years ago, I came home, my back door had been kicked in. There was absolutely nothing missing out of the house. There wasn't anything moved. There was a perfect footprint and on the door and a broken door jamb, but the door was shut. Everything was still here in the house, and I just don't think my little beagle could have got that accomplished.
That's fair. We had anytime anything goes astray, like Skip will bark at people walking outside, but as soon as somebody comes inside, he goes and hides under the bed. He would be worthless. If somebody did that to my house, everything would be gone.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even know I had it.
I'm pretty sure, about 300 pounds of dog came around the corner, in between two dogs, and it was like nope, and turned around and walked away.
I remember you
I
telling me.
don't care how nice your TV is, I'm out.
You told me the story at Fishing for Freedom, which we should talk about that. Are you doing Fishing for Freedom this year?
Oh yeah, I'll always make time for that. That's a great event. I think our veterans deserve stuff like that more often.
I'm tempted to tell I can't do it. I'm not going to do it this year because we got a kiddo due yesterday. They're still not here, and it's our first kid, so we need to figure out how that looks like with me.
You are young, aren't you?
No.
How old are you?
37. I'm not that young, but
damn, but my youngest is 20, getting ready to turn 21.
Yeah, and there's people I know my age whose youngest is 18. Like I waited a while, but I'm tempted to, and we'll see how motivated Ryan is. But like Ryan, if you wanted to take my boat down there and run it, like I'm sad that I'm not going to be able to do it this year because it's such a great event. If anybody listening has a boat, because they are maxed out on veterans right now, but they're never maxed out on people with boats. And it's an event where you can register yourself and your boat and take veterans out. And it's a fishing tournament, but it's not a fishing tournament. Like they weigh fish and everything, but it's just an excuse to take all these veterans fishing. And you can do catfishing, but you can also do bass, crappie, on they go on the Mississippi River, and they also go on what's that Mark Twain Lake?
Mark Twain Lake, yeah,
in Missouri, and it's based out of Quincy, Illinois, right on the Mississippi.
Yeah.
They cover all
they
of
cover a lot of water too. I mean, really, because you can go all the way up on the Pool 19, and I don't know. I think you can. I forget exactly how far south you can go, but
25.
Yeah.
It's like 200 miles.
I feel it's like the top side of Clarksville Dam or something like that, ain't it?
Yep. But just to throw in there, like they Nate, the guy who runs it, they will cover you. You can stay at a hotel for free. Like you just got to get there with the boat, take these guys. They'll cover your lodging, they'll cover your food, like all that stuff. They just need people to get these guys out on the water.
Yeah, I mean it's a great event. It's something that I look forward to every year. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've had the same group of 3, and I would assume that I will have Russell and them guys again this year. Because be bluntly honest with you, we just go out and have a good time for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's a good time. Like if I got
hanging out with your buddies, you get to listen to war stories, and you get to catch fish, and yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sad that I will miss it this year. I hope to do that and several other things in 2027 is my hope. You do
This
not have to.
2027 is so full already.
That's
It's not
jam
even
packed.
funny.
Jam packed. You don't have to be a captain to take vets out. You just have to have a boat and it's a big river, so be careful. But yeah, you just got to have a seaworthy vessel and be ready to have a good time.
Yep. So yeah, it's a good time. Some people get a little overly competitive with it, but most view it as just a time to go out and hang out with veterans and make sure that they have a good time.
It's a great place to win a free guide trip from Aaron Jarrell. That's where I won mine. But
I'm pretty sure we had a deal. I think we're both supposed to donate a trip to that silent auction, as I recall.
I mean, I'm down for that too.
I'm thinking maybe there might be a little bit of a bet involved to see who goes for more money.
I don't remember that, but I'm game. Like
we're fishermen, so we're competitive about everything, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a fisherman for that, but this one is. God, what was I going to say? There was probably nothing too important, but from a selfish standpoint, like you go to this event with the intention of helping out these vets. Another avenue to look at that too is you have all of these really good fishermen like Aaron and like a ton of other guys, like guys who spend a ton of time on the water, and they're there with the intention of getting these vets on fish and then helping anybody who needs help to make sure any of these vets have a good time catching fish. So like there's a lot of information that gets shared that would never get shared in any other setting other than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I'm talking to someone that's fishing the same areas I am, and I'm on fish and they're saying they're having a tough time, I'm gonna start sharing patterns and the whole 9 yards. Like I'm gonna walk them right over to my boat and say, "This is what your rods need to be. This is what they're biting. This is the depth. This is the structure you're looking for. Whatever it takes. Call me during the middle of the tournament. I don't care."
Yeah.
It's more for me about making sure that our veterans have a good time.
And it's like the Men in Black movie. You got that wand that after the tournament, you just touch them on the head and they forget all of it.
Yeah. You will.
Yeah.
It should be like, I think it should be a selfless reason to go. But if you need that little extra kick in the ass to get you to go do something like that, if you have a boat that's worthy of being on a big river and keeping those guys comfortable, if you need that little extra motivation to get out there and help out, like that's a pretty darn good piece of little extra piece that goes along with that.
Yeah, like I said, for me, it's that's I know guys that kind of make it a little more competitive with that event than it needs to be, but for most people, it's really simply about everybody catching some fish, everybody having a good time. Me and my guys that I've had out the last couple of years, we've had great years. Last year was a little bit, we caught some fish, but not near the numbers we did the year before. But I mean, that's fishing,
Yeah.
But everybody in my area was saying about the same thing. It's not quite as good as it was last year. And that we was up on that pool 19. And I mean, I know I fished it at least 3 times last year, and that pool didn't fish like normal all year. The water was up. There was more current than normal. That pool was kind of funky.
Yeah.
So,
well, the only person I wanted to beat was you, because you were the only side bet. So, mission accomplished.
I don't know why I always have a target on my forehead. So.
Yeah. You just bring it on yourself. I think the bet was your idea. I'm pretty sure it wasn't my idea.
It probably was.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the personality where it's fun to do shit like that with. You know, some guys, you're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're talking to Aaron.
You know, you gotta keep it light out there. You know,
I'm talking to Aaron for sure.
So, but yeah, I mean myself, I really enjoy tournament fishing because it takes you into different parts of the country. It makes you chase channel cat when you're a bluecat fisherman. It makes you hope for a flathead when you're not a flathead fisherman. You know, because we catch flathead around here, but nothing like up north. You guys got good sized flatheads. Down south, in the Tennessee River and south in the Mississippi, they've got really good flatheads. And not that we don't catch them around us, but they're very rare. I feel like there's kind of a hole around the St. Louis area where there's just not very many big flatheads.
It's so hard to imagine. There's got to be.
It's either that or they're so far up them creeks that I've never really. I've stopped chasing them. You know, so.
Yeah.
Every population assessment survey I've looked at in your areas, you have plenty of big flatheads.
Well, I don't know where they're hiding at. I've gotten to be where I consider myself pretty decent at finding the big blues, but the big flatheads, they are a beast that comes every now and then, and most of the time whenever I'm just bluecat fishing.
The best
so
thing.
Let's go back. Let's go back to an earlier comment.
Hold on.
What's your go ahead.
The best thing that I ever did for catching blue cats was quit thinking like a flathead fisherman. Like they are not the same.
They're not the same. No, they're not. They'll cross paths it sometimes, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, they might both be at the mouth of a creek or something at the same time, you know.
For sure.
But no, they're not the same creature. They're just not.
So, Ryan, the previous comment.
And that just fed in exactly to my comment. What do you think is the biggest difference and the biggest similarity between blues and channels? Because they're a lot more similar than flatheads and blues.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
I think you can follow the current to both. Meaning if you catch 5 fish in this type of current in this type of depth, you can normally follow that around the river.
I think channel cats do everything a blue cat does when a blue cat isn't around. Like if you were to go to a river or a reservoir or a lake that only has channel cats, the biggest channel cats do the same damn shit blue cats do. But as soon as you mix them together, the channel cats do different things.
Mm-hmm.
They get thrown off there.
I don't think they're comfortable in the same area at the same time. And the same goes for like in our area, it seems like if you got a spot that's producing day after day, and then all of a sudden you start catching a few channel cat in there, like you might as well just write that hole off for a while. It's time to go.
Absolutely.
You know, catching 1 is one thing, but you catch 2, you're thinking about leaving. You catch 3, you're gone, and don't go back for a while. You know, a month.
I don't know if I've ever got to the point of catching 3 channel cats on any of the big rivers.
The biggest, what was it? I think it was last fall. Was it last fall? I don't know. A while back, I had 2 days in a row where I had one spot that kind of turned into a channel cat spot, but we was catching some nice channel cats. So I was kind of stopping in there kind of as a filler spot.
Yeah, let's get the mojo going.
But yeah, you know, I saw anyhow. One day I had a client catch a 16-pound channel cat, and then the next day I had a client catch a 17-pound channel cat out of there.
That's where
Yeah.
Those are the two biggest channel cat I've ever landed in my boat. So, I mean, I think there are really good channel cat on the big river. It's just I don't think they live in the same type of habitat on average
Yeah.
as the blues.
I mean, I live in channel cat country, and I'm the biggest channel cat that's ever been in my boat. A client reeled in last summer, and I think it was 16.7, and I was ecstatic. I'm like, this is a damn giant.
It's a freaking toad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy that caught that 17-pound channel cat, he was disappointed it wasn't a blue, and I'm sitting here tickled pink. I'm like, this is a fish of a lifetime, and it don't matter. It don't matter if it's blue or green or yellow or whatever color it is. I've been chasing these things for a long time, and that's the biggest one I've ever landed. This is a big deal, So
what do you think? I want to hear from both of you. The equivalent across the board. I have my range. Like,
I was gonna say that too.
A blank size channel is equivalent to a blank size flathead is equivalent to a blank size blue.
Well, let's go that 17-pound channel. Let's start there as a starting point.
Like benchmarks of trophies.
Yes. So that 17-pound channel, in my mind, would be probably a 50-pound blue, if not more, maybe a 55-pound blue. And for a flathead, it'd probably be like a 40.
I agree with that.
I'm going more extreme. I'm saying, and we're just going to round numbers off to make them nice and easy. I'm going to say a 20-pound channel is equal to a 50-pound flathead is equal to an 80-pound blue.
Oh, no, I don't think so. No.
What's your discrepancy?
Well, the discrepancy is an 80-pound blue will literally try to pull you out of the boat. So
no, we're talking about like maximum.
So will a 50-pound flathead.
Yeah. Like we're not talking they're comparable in fight inability or anything like that. I'm talking about benchmarks of trophy status.
Like
yeah, because you hear of 20-pounders being caught every now and then, but you rarely hear of anything much bigger,
Yeah.
A lot of my buddies from Iowa have 17 to 20-pound PBs for channel cat. You guys got a lot of big channel cat up that way.
In places, we have lots of channel cats. We don't have lots of giant channel cats.
Well, and your channel cats up there, and I mean, it kind of translates back to the blues in a way, but not really. Your channel cats up there roam in size class. And what I mean is, like, there's a lot of times when I if I'm dragging up there, let's say I'm dragging 20 feet, and I try to stay in that 20-foot range, you'll get into a bigger size class, and you can go in 12 foot of water and still catch as many fish, but they're more like 5 to 8 pounds, and then you go in even shallower, and that can reverse as well. But what I'm getting at is, like, it does seem like they roam by size class to me.
I don't argue with you, but I am gonna say it's the same for every fish. Like, you have big fish habitat, you have medium fish habitat and small fish habitat, and if you play around with the dinks, you're gonna catch dinks. If you got to go where the big fish live.
And at times, habitats swap depending on conditions.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. And I mean, for me, especially when I'm anchor fishing, like, a lot of times, if I'm anchor fishing, I'm somewhere behind a dike or on a piece of structure somewhere or something. And there's a lot of times where, we might catch, 2 or 3 dinks on the right side of the boat. And then, bam, here goes a rod down on the left side of the boat, and it's a monster,
Because you're sitting right on that divide.
Yeah, so it could be divided by 20 feet,
Sure.
but it is kind of rare to, be fishing a brush pile, for example, and have that brush pile surrounded by baits. and to pull out like a 10 pounder and then to turn around and pull out a 60 out of that same brush pile.
Absolutely.
And I think that's more because, you know, the 10-pound fish or whatever, the dink, he's not comfortable around that big fish.
He's on the menu.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think the comfort thing could be part of it, but I think they want different things. So, like certain areas provide the things that the little ones, well, they're picking up the scraps. But there's certain things that big fish want, and if they want it, they go get it, and then the little fish get what's left over. But I think it's more about what the fish want than getting pushed out. And I don't know.
Well, and I mean it's nature, so you got to keep that in mind. There's no 100% out there,
right?
You know. So I mean, even
Always.
though I might say they roam by size class, does that mean that when I'm out in the main river bumping and I'm bumping a stretch and I catch a dink that I should just pick up and go? Well, no, because, you know, 100 yards down the river or whatever, we could catch a hog,
Right.
you know, on a different brush pile. But, you know, so it doesn't always mean that you have to like leave the entire area, but sometimes, you know, just the inside of the dike to the outside of the dike's the difference. You know, the bigger ones are out towards the current seam, dinks are up in the back eddy, for example.
Right.
You can follow that kind of stuff around the river.
For sure. So kind of back to our original discussion, the trophy status, the comparison. What do you think is more common? Just not just your area, but overall. Do you think a 20-pound channel cat is more common or less common than an 80-pound blue cat?
No, I don't really know because I don't spend enough time up there. I know I've been guiding for about 1.5 years. I've got quite a few trips out there doing that. And I've got 4 clients with fish over 80 pounds.
And how many with channels over 20?
With channels over 20? Well, I've never caught a channel over 20, so.
Yeah, that's kind of unfair. But if you're guiding on the Red River up in North Dakota,
well, there's
right,
no
exactly.
you can have a different answer.
There's not a blue cat in the damn river.
No, but there's 35-pound channel cat. They're like, oh, we got a 20.
I bet you a 35-pound channel cat would probably fight like a 50 or 60-pound blue.
I agree.
I hope to find out. I'm going up there in July. I just scheduled it today.
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that 17 and that 16-pound channel cat that we caught last fall, they both hit and fought like a blue when they surfaced at the boat. I was very surprised to see they wasn't.
Yeah.
Sure. Imagine what it looked like on a medium light catch the fever Zach Royce rod as a side rod. It was a side rod suspended drifting with 8 ounces of lead on it, and then a 16.7 pound channel cat just roasts it on the side.
Yeah.
You were thinking 60 for sure.
It was pretty awesome. Like, I think of things that are awesome that I've seen, and that's pretty high up there on the list of awesome.
Right.
But if somebody wanted to guide, again, this is for everybody here. If somebody wanted to get into guiding, what is like something you would suggest they do? I don't know, just like little things like to help them go in that direction.
So, I mean, number one thing for me is you want to make sure that you really want it, because there's good days and there's bad days out there, guys. There's days when you know, we catch a huge amount of fish, and it's big fish after big fish, and those days are great. But there's also days where the fish aren't acting right. The barometric pressure's got them messed up. You've got to be ready to deal with all different types of personalities in that situation. So I don't really think that every fisherman out there is built to be a guide, because there's some days when we're more entertainers than anything. If the rods aren't
That's why
moving,
I keep my hair short. So
yeah, I mean, we got to keep the mood light on the boat and make sure everybody's having a good time. And there's days when, you know, we all wake up in the morning and we don't really feel like joking and laughing, and you got to do it anyhow.
Yeah.
There's days when you got to go out for catfishing, for example. I think I'm going to kind of pick on the bass and crappie guys here a little bit. I think
Pussies.
guiding for bass and crappie is a lot easier because you can go to the store and buy a few new crankbaits, a few new jigs, and a bucket of minnows, and you're good to go. With catfish, you know, you have to have fresh bait, like we talked about earlier. I have had to catch bait in the middle, throw cast nets in the middle of thunderstorms before, because I've got a trip tomorrow and got to have it.
Yeah.
I've had to travel 4 or 5 hours one way to go get skipjack once a week through the summer because they're not in our area. So you have to make sure you want it bad enough. That's like, for me, like the number one thing is just make sure that you want it more than anything, because it will test you.
I mean, the biggest thing I've found is you can't be selfish. You have to put your clients above yourself and do whatever it takes to make them happy. And
I have more fun watching my client catch a fish than I do catching them myself nowadays. So
it's a good characteristic of a guide.
But I mean, after that, you have to make sure that you have tip-top equipment. You got to make sure all your stuff's in order. So you got to get all your paperwork in order and all that stuff. There's, you know, commercial insurance you got to worry about now. All different types of things. But I mean, the number one thing before you just take off and decide I'm going to be a guide, I think, in my opinion, is you really got to search your soul and make sure that you're ready for it, and ready to do whatever it takes. I mean, in the summertime, my average, I normally get up between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
To get to the fishing spot, boat in the water before the client gets there, rods in the rod holders, weights on the rods, you know, baits in the cooler already. So it's a lot more work than most people give it credit for. People see us out there on the 70-degree days when it's sunny and you know, nice, and the fish are biting and you know, yeah, life is great then, you know. But you have to be a patient person, because not every, you know, in the summertime we teach bumping a lot in our area.
Sure.
Be bluntly honest with you, not everybody can bump. So not everybody has it in them. So most people can be taught. But I know I've had quite a few people on my boat that's never bumped before, and you know, they kind of picked it up naturally. Meaning 5 minutes later, they was like, "Oh yeah, I just hopped it over that log, and you know, boom, there he was." I'm like, "It's exactly what you need to do," you know. But for most like myself, it doesn't come that naturally.
I got 3 things. I think we'll see if I remember them all by the time I get through them. But Johnny, if you have to set bank lines to get your clients on fish, you're not accepting the challenge of actually guiding, like to be a good guide, in my opinion. And then, oh shit, I didn't even make it to 2. I already forgot 2.
Number 2 is shout out to Ryan Casey tuning in.
Oh, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend.
You got to make sure I'm not messing up.
That's right. Don't bring any bad juju home.
I'm trying my best to like navigate you in the right directions. It's like,
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that can be hard to steer sometimes.
For leading me the right way.
Yeah, I can be rather hard to steer sometimes. Just ask Ryan; he'll tell you.
That's one of my favorite characteristics of you, Aaron. That's why you're on here right now. But oh, do you ever notice like a certain type of person picks up on bumping quicker? Like I've noticed, and this is as minimal biased as I can possibly view something through. If somebody has no, well, if we're looking at it from a blank slate, walleye fishermen pick up on bumping the quickest.
If
Catfish,
they
You
are
picked up on that too, huh?
what's that?
Every guy that has picked up, and I've had a lot of bass fishermen out there, and I'm not knocking bass fishermen,
I will.
but every guy that I have had just straight up pick up bumping, like I hand them a bumping rod, I explain the technique, show them for 5 minutes, and I feel like I can let them go to do their thing, has been a walleye fisherman.
Yes. So walleye fisherman number 1, cat fisherman number 2, bass fisherman number 3.
I think that's fair because, and I started out as a bass fisherman. That's, in my early 20s, I bought a boat and did a lot of bass fishing and stuff.
And I just noticed how gross my hands are. I've been fishing all day anyway.
It's funny that to me that, and I know this to be true as a bass fisherman, you can throw a jig out and tick it across the top of grass and feel the top of grass, but you can't feel the bottom of the river.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make no
you're
sense.
feeling literally leaves and grass, with these bass rods, and our bumping rods are sensitive, but at the end of the day, they got to be a lot more stout than a bass rod. So, there's something about putting a person in current. The current changes everything because we're no longer, trying to feel a still object.
I think that's the biggest part is like being able to swing a jig. Well, Ryan, you and I were talking about it the other day when we were walleye fishing. Like you want to keep your jig in proximity to the bottom, touching it occasionally, being able to understand when you touch it occasionally, but just keep it in that 4 to 8 inch range off the bottom and follow the contours while you're doing it. And the better you can do that, the more walleyes you're going to catch. So me just talking out loud, like suddenly it makes even more sense.
That's the same thing as you're doing bumping, essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
Except we're going sideways instead of down.
Right.
Yeah. Like bumping is easier than swinging a jig for walleyes.
I've never swung a jig for walleyes. I've only went and targeted walleyes a handful of time in my life. So
yeah.
I got a piece of property down on Norfolk Lake in northern Arkansas, and we catch a lot of walleye down there on that lake, but it's more of a byproduct of bass fishing and striper fishing, so
yeah,
I've never targeted walleye on a river before, so
yeah, that's the only way I want to catch them. Like if I have to catch them out of a lake, I don't even care. They taste the same no matter where you get them. Like they're delicious no matter where you get them. I have 4 walleyes in my boat right now that need clean, like that I caught today fishing a river.
Don't forget the cheek meat.
Oh, well, they're not quite that big, but
see, that's how you can tell from a walleye guide right there. That's how I can tell if they caught big ones or not. If they're after the cheek meat, they caught a good one.
Yeah, I got one in there that, I probably should take the cheek meat out of him. He's like 23 probably, but the rest are that 18 to 20 range, like pretty prime eaters. But back to the point is like swinging that jig in the current and having the feel for everything. Like the guys who are really good at that pick up on bumping really quick. And yeah, bass fishing is just different. And when I started guiding and teaching a little bit of bumping, and I don't guide on big rivers like you do, it's not even close, but I've dabbled in it a little bit. And that's something I picked up on real quick where, because cat fishermen are so green, they have no preconceived notions. So they're easier to show than the bass guys. And the bass guys are like, I already know all this shit. You're an idiot. I'm going to do what I do.
I mean, they're half right.
Yeah.
Well,
Fact.
I'm not.
Fact.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's not as easy to teach as you would think. So, because like I said, some people just can't do it. So, I've got one guy in particular that's been out with me multiple times, and he's a great guy, and I love having him on my boat. But we've tried to teach it. I've tried to teach him to bump 3 or 4 times, and we always wind up back on anchor. So,
side rods. He's got side rods.
Yeah.
Well, does he? So you end up on anchor because he's prioritizing the fish over the catching over the learning.
You know, I can't assist him in catching fish and stuff when I'm constantly tying rods. So, you know, I typically give him 4 or 5 rigs, and then after that, you know, depending on how quickly we burn through those. If that happens in 20 minutes, then we're going back to anchor fishing.
The 5th strike, you're out.
That segues into my next question really nice. And again, this goes for both of you guys because, well, I mean, we all guide here, I guess, so it goes for everybody. But there's a certain type of client that nobody ever talks about. Like I'm a fishing nerd. I listen to fishing podcasts. I listen to Captain podcasts, whatever. Nobody ever talks about the delusional client. And when I say delusional client, I mean the client that thinks they're really good at fishing, but is not really good at fishing.
The one that just get teed up on that perfect bite, and then they whip it, and you just want to throw them out of the boat.
And we don't. I don't want to dive into guide stories because I'm not big on talking bad about somebody who isn't there. I'd rather talk bad about somebody to their face, like I do with you, Ryan. That's my favorite.
Right.
So I don't want to get real specific on individuals, but like, what's something you do to navigate those situations where you have somebody who thinks they're really good, and if something bad happens, it's not their fault?
Circle hooks is what I try to do. I try to keep the least amount of fisherman knowledge or fisherman skill out of the equation.
Oh, well,
I want the fish to load up the hook, and no matter what they do, they can't shake them off it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just make sure that they have the best gear they can, that you can supply them with, and you know, there's been days out there where, you know, my personality didn't really mesh with somebody else's.
It's inevitable.
And those are tougher days than others. You know, there's a lot of days out there where we can all joke and laugh and, you know, have a good time. Customer asks a question, I do the best I can to answer it. But that there are some difficult clients that, you know, have, you know, they look at the website, for example, see all these big fish and think it's a guarantee. Well, we're fishing. There's no guarantee out there. I've had days where, you know, we caught, you know, 160 and 3 fish. And I've had days where you're lucky to get 30 and 3 fish, you know, so.
Or 3 fish, period.
Or 3 fish, period. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, those customers that come expecting a guarantee, them are harder to deal with.
I'll tell you what, you haven't had me as a client yet because you owe me a guide trip. So if you think you've had tough clients so far, you just wait, bud.
He needs 160 in one.
In one.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy that shows up and says we got, you know, we catch an 80 or 100 pounder today or bust, that guy's pretty hard to please. So.
1,000,000%. Like
that guy right there.
Yes. Yeah, when you got that guy who wants a once in a lifetime trip when he shows up.
Yes.
It only happens once in a lifetime, you know.
Right.
Like, that's literally.
Well, I mean, for most people, we're blessed. We get to be out there all the time. So it you know, what would be once in a lifetime for most people, you know, might not be for us. You know,
we get that chance
I mean, that
every
is
day.
a blessing for us.
But I'm talking a once in a lifetime for us. Like somebody's like, if we don't catch a 60-pound flathead today, I'm pissed. And I'm like, bro, I've never caught a 60-pound flathead.
I've been pissed for 48 years.
Right. I mean, I think my PB flathead was 55 pounds, and that was down on Wheeler. So,
so it doesn't count.
And I mean, it's just like I don't even hope for something like that around me because I know they don't really, they're pretty rare. I'm not saying they're not here. I'm just saying they're pretty rare in the areas that we fish. So
I bet you're just a little off in like everything you're doing is catered to blue cats, and it's just a little off to really target those big flatheads. I bet if I had to bet, the biggest flathead in the country is within 100 miles of you right now.
I could believe that. But I also believe the biggest blue cat in the country is within 100 miles of me. So
yeah, it's just what do you want to target? Like, what do you want to focus your presentation on? But they're there, man.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of backwaters that I know where they're at. I just never go in them.
I think there's a lot of them right in the main river, right where you're at.
I don't know.
Instead of here, they're here.
Yeah,
right.
Like you're talking about sitting on a spot and dinks on one side of the boat, and then you get your big takedown on the other. And then if you were to move your boat a little differently, you're going to fish 50 spots and catch nothing, and then you're going to hook that big flathead. Because that's the difference between blue cats and flatheads in my mind is like blue cats can get tough. Don't get me wrong. I ain't going to argue that a bit, but a tough day for blue cats is somewhere between 0 and 5 fish. Like if I go to a big river and, I say 0 just because 0 is always a possibility. In my mind, really it's 1 to 5. Like that's a tougher day. You can get saved by that big one, whatever. Flathead fishing, when you're out, you're fishing for a fish.
Right.
And if you get 2, it's a really good day. You get 3, that's a special day. And you go over that, it's like, that's one where I call my mom who doesn't give a shit about fishing and talk about awesome fishing.
So have you guys, and I've tried this with the blues, I'm firmly convinced that the blues in the river, I haven't really messed with the blues on the lakes, but I have messed with the blues on the river with LiveScope, and I'm firmly convinced that it affects the bite significantly.
I go back and forth, man. Like,
do you think it affects the flatheads the same way, or?
I'm not convinced it affects the blues. Only because 100%. I'll say this: when you don't have the scope on, you don't know how many fish look at your bait and don't eat.
All right, so last year we was down rodding, and I had a father and his son on board. The son was about 14, as I recall. And he really didn't want to be there, but his dad wanted to be there, and he wanted his son with him. So his son is a good son, went anyhow. Yeah. So, we was down rodding. You really got to watch those down rods and make sure that they're not dragging too much, or else you're going to get snagged on everything. You don't want them so high off the bottom, you ain't fishing no more. So you really got to watch those things. And the dad was doing a really good job of it. After he caught his 4th fish, and I tied up the 4th set of leader lines for the son, I was like, well, maybe he'll like watching the LiveScope. It's the same day, same boat, same bait, same leaders, same everything. That day we watched the LiveScope. We watched the son's rods with the LiveScope, and I never once pointed it at the dad's rods. We watched fish after fish swim up to the son's rods. The son caught 2 fish that day. Dad caught 14. Same bait, same boat, same time.
Mm-hmm.
Different sides. The only difference was I didn't point the LiveScope at the dad's rods. He was catching. Son wasn't. We were still seeing fish swim up to the son's baits too. but they would get so close and then they'd start acting funny and they'd swim away.
So the only caveat I can throw is possibility, because it could 100% be the LiveScope, is I go walleye fishing, and I refer back to that often because that's some of the tougher fishing where nuance really matters. And if somebody was just looking at me and person X, and it would look like we're doing the same damn thing, that and then one person catches 10, one person catches 2, like, but it looks like we're doing the same thing. But if you really look at it, there's just subtle nuance difference. And
yeah, I could bite on that, but I was the one that set up the rigs that day.
but I'm just talking about like how they
I had
reel.
my hooks at the same level, same length of leader on them. You know, everything was the same.
But what isn't the same is how they monitor the bait in relation to the bottom. And I'm not saying it couldn't be the scope. It could be the scope.
Yeah.
It could absolutely be the scope. It probably is scope.
I know when I've been ice fishing, I've seen fish stage about 20 feet away from me and not come in, and I've shut off the LiveScope and they've come in and I've caught them.
Yeah.
I've seen that more than once.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thoroughly convinced. I know that there's been some guys out there do really well on Lake of the Ozarks with LiveScope. I know there's guys down in Texas that's been winning tournaments and stuff with it. But I mean, I've tried it time and time again out there on the river. And every time I've tried it, you see more fish swim up to your bait and swim away from it than you do actually take it. And it seems like when you shut it off, like they start biting.
And I just threw out what I threw out as a caveat to provide a counter thought. I've seen the same damn thing. Like the biggest damn fish I've ever seen in my life, I watched come up. Well, you can only watch them on LiveScope, so I have nothing to compare. But I've seen some giant ass fish come up on scope and just brush up against your bait and not eat them. You know, like they just come up and look and leave. Like I've seen 3 different 100-pounders. I'll confidently say they're 100+ pounders. One was probably a flathead. Come up out of some brush, look at bait, and kind of back to what you were saying about the Carolina rig. Just brush up against it, not even hardly nibble on it, and just
red tip don't move, but you can see he's touching it.
Absolutely, you know,
that's how heart attacks happen.
Yeah,
bullshit.
Yeah. And Ryan, your brother said walleye real fish, and
I've seen that.
Well, I replied
when my brother, I got a twin brother who, when he ever talks about fishing, you just might as well turn on the radio and drown him out because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Don't worry, he doesn't have a comeback for what I said yet. So
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a destination fisherman because he can't catch them in his backyard, so he's got to go to the little honey holes around the nation, and that's where he catches his fish.
Well, it's not the worst.
Honey hole.
I mean, I employ that a little bit. Holy shit, we have John Berglund on here.
Oh boy.
Oh wow. Like no sarcasm at all. Like dude's
this is the John Berglund.
Yeah. What's up, John? That's my buddy.
He says, I've scoped for hours in Norco with little success, but as soon as I shut it off, would catch fish almost immediately. It may not affect all the fish, but I believe it bothers more of them than not. Dude,
I agree with that 100%. You're always going to have one fish that's more aggressive. We've all caught that 35-pound bluecat that fought like an 80, and you was convinced the whole way in when he's slip and drag the whole way in, you got a monster. And then you get him in and you're like, where's the rest of you? You know? Sure. And it goes in reverse too. I've caught really big fish that really didn't do much, you know, until they get right at the boat. And I've caught ones that fought like hell. So I think these fish, some are more aggressive than others. I think the amount of times that they've been caught has something to do with that.
Maybe
Can't
that part I'm not sure about, but I will 1,000,000% agree that there's some fish you could do everything wrong. You could do anything you want. You're going to catch them.
Yep.
And then there's some fish where you got to be stingy. You know, the details matter. And sometimes those fish are really big, and I want to catch those too. You know, so it's like, what do you balance all that stuff?
Now, if we think about it, let's say scientifically, but more theoretically, do you think the scaly fish would be less disrupted by the sonar than like the smooth skin fish? Do you think
I think so, because catfish is covered with chemoreceptors. So essentially their body is a big tongue and a big nerve, you know?
Their sense of taste has nothing to do with their sense of picking up vibration, but they're really good at picking up vibration too.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was trying to get at was, you know, their entire body is, in my opinion, not much different than a bass's lateral line, which is what a bass uses to feel things, you know?
Catfish are, without a doubt, the most aware of their environment of any fish. It's not even close. Like, their sense of smell is better than a salmon. And salmon migrate hundreds of freaking miles solely by their sense of smell.
By smell.
Yeah. Like, and
well, I mean, it's, you know, and once you start thinking about their sense of smell, you know, that's just one part. Their sense of smell is one part of why I like fishing rivers over lakes, is because, like, in a lake, your scent is getting dispersed like a cloud. It's going all directions, which you would think would be good, but it doesn't carry that heavy scent one direction. Yeah. So your scent's actually weaker.
You don't leave a trail, you leave a cloud.
Right. So,
now catfish are freaking amazing in all the things they can do. Like the amount.
I mean, if you think about it, like there's catfish living in the Mississippi River that catch stuff floating by them at 6 and 7 mile an hour.
Yeah.
You know, because they're living in that 6 and 7 mile an hour current. If they're living there, they're eating there. So, you know, that, you know, goes into, you know, like when I'm bumping and stuff, I don't really think you can bump too fast. How fast can you feel the bottom and keep your bait on the bottom? You're the limitation when you're bumping on how fast you can catch fish moving your boat.
Well, if they're there, they can feed effectively, or they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, you know? I mean, most of the guys that say, "Oh, that water's too fast, we can't fish it," they're just not willing to, in my opinion, put in the time that it takes to learn how to control the boat effectively in that heavy current.
Well, and that's a big part, you know, like if somebody asked me, like, how much do you bounce the bait? Like, how fast do you move your rod tip? Like, there's no answer. The answer is you do what your sinker tells you to, and your sinker does what it does based on the current speed. And if there's fish there,
it could change 100 feet.
It will. It probably will.
Yeah,
you know?
It probably will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's no correct answer for none of that. It's just whatever it takes to keep that bait down in the strike zone.
Yeah. If there was one technique that you had to do 12 months out of the year, because you suspend drift, you walk baits, you anchor, you go on your tournaments, and I'm sure there's times where you're pulling, well, we talked about earlier, you're pulling boards. If you could do you had to do one technique for 12 months out of the year, what are you doing?
Well, that would depend on where I'm at. In my area, that would, you know, assuming the fish was out there in the main current 12 months out of the year, I'd rather bump if I have someone on board that can.
No, we're talking about you. Like,
just me out fishing. I mean, my favorite way to catch them's bumping, hands down.
Well, we're
So
talking effectiveness, like 12 months out of the year, overall effectiveness.
you can't beat it. You can't get away from anchor fishing then. I mean, you can catch them 12 months out of the year anchored, guaranteed.
You think your anchor fishing is more effective for a longer period of time than walking a bait is?
No, but a lot of times if I'm anchor fishing and current, I'm also walking a bait.
Okay. So, well, I guess, all right, let's put the question even further under a microscope. How, if you only walked a bait for 12 months out of the year or only anchored 12 months out of the year, are you going to catch more fish anchoring or are you going to catch more fish walking a bait?
I mean, that's an almost impossible question to answer because in my area, like, that's just not going to work.
No, it's got to.
It's just not. There's 4 to 6 months where that's just not going to work. So, you know,
which one's going to catch more fish, though?
Well, it depends. I mean, we can be pretty successful bumping.
I love this. We got
good numbers doing that, but now, like for example, if I was face down,
shut up. We got Berglund saying bumping, and we got Ryan Casey saying anchoring. I love that. We got two freaking hammers disagreeing. I wish we had them on right now. That'd be fun.
Well, but so anyway. You know, and the reason why Ryan's saying anchoring is what I was trying to get to is, you know, there's just too many months out of the year where them fish aren't in that heavy current, that 2-3 mile an hour plus current. There's too many months where they're just not in them type of areas feeding. Obviously they have to travel the current to get from one dike to the other, so they go out there, but they're not there to feed. They're there to move. So, you know, I think if you're talking one particular technique that we rely on 12 months out of the year, it's anchor fishing. You can't never tank out anchor fishing. I can catch fish in the middle of summer anchored. I can catch them in the middle of winter anchored. So, if I could only do one, I'd have to anchor.
Spoken like a true catfisherman.
But if you're asking me the way I like to catch them, it's bumping all day long.
It's all the time. That's the way I like to catch them.
Yeah. So I personally like catching them in fast current. The faster, the better for me. So that's the fun part when you hook into a 50, 60 pounder and you have to chase him downriver because you're just not going to stop him. So
when you say fast current, my immediate thought is, what is the fastest you've ever burned up your battery, like ran your batteries dead spot locking?
I got Pro Guide 150 lithium, so it takes a little while, but
4 days.
The fastest I've ever burned them up was about 5.5 hours, 6 hours. So, which to put it into perspective, I can go to a lake and run for like 3 days without killing my battery.
Yeah. So I got 100 amps in mine basically, and I have you beat, but I only have you beat because I have less amperage than you do.
Right.
I did 4.5.
Yeah.
About 5 hours on the mow daily. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we, you know, in the summertime when we're running heavy, if I have trip after trip after trip, day after day after day, or even doubled one day, 2 trips in one day, and then another trip the next morning, I almost always have my generator with me.
Yeah.
If it's not on the front of the boat, it's in the bed of the truck, and as soon as the boat hits the trailer, generator gets fired up, and we start charging them batteries for the next day because it's the only way you're going to keep up with it.
Right.
So, and you still run out every now and then, you know.
So John brought up the point that I was trying to drive to, so I appreciate that. And he said that in 8 months, he thinks he can catch more fish than he could in 12 months of anchoring bumping. Like 8 months of bumping will catch more fish. than 12 months solid of, wait, I might have mixed that up. 8 months bumping will catch more fish than 12 months solid anchoring. And that's
from the area. Well, and I think that all plays back into what area of the country are you from? He's from up there towards Kansas City and stuff.
I don't think it's that much different.
In that stretch of river, it is. There's really not that much structure up there. There's not the big. There's not. There's not the big dikes with like brush piles and everything and blowouts and everything that we have in our area. So there's no dam that I know of.
There's no
and
dam.
there might be, but I haven't seen it.
There's not. There's not. You got that part. I'll agree with that part. There's no dam.
I mean, the structure is different. I agree with him. If I lived up by him and that was my home waters, I would probably say the same thing. Because I can catch more through them months when I can do it than I can, because there's just no structure to sit on. You got to cover water.
I will say, just throwing this caveat in here where it's kind of a person-to-person answer to that question is, how good are you at walking a bait? And how good are you at picking effective anchor fishing positions? Like,
based on different aspects, because that changes. Anchoring changes. Anchoring locations change more than bumping locations.
I'll disagree.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're covering more of a ground when you bump.
No, right. I'll disagree because I think your line matters. I think it matters more on the Mississippi than the Missouri, or maybe the Mississippi is less obvious than the Missouri. But what I will say is there are guys that fish a lot of local events in Bergelin's area that are really, really, really good at picking like spots to anchor fish. And then there's also guys that are really, really, really good at picking areas to bump. And I think it does vary from fisherman to fisherman. And also, I mean, just self-awareness is important in everything in life, and fishing's no different. Like, if somebody's really good at walking a bait, I mean,
that's what they're going to do.
Yep. That's what they're going to do. And that's where they're going to do well. And there's people who aren't so good that at walking a bait where they're going to catch a hell of a lot more fish anchored. And I think it varies from person to person. So a little self-awareness goes a long ways as far as that type of stuff goes.
Well, I mean, I really think it depends on what part of the country you're from, and I'll use Wheeler, for example. If I lived down on Wheeler, I would probably pick dragging, because I would drag at least 10 months out of the year, bare minimum.
Well, I think it varies from person to person, because if you and I tied our boats together and we're walking baits, I'm going to outfish you 9 days out of 10.
I guess we'll find out on that guide trip.
I'm excited.
We'll find out. A lot of times, a lot of times I might shake off a fish if I'm pretty sure that it's going to grab the customer's rod. But with you, we're not going to do that.
Good. I wouldn't want it any other way.
The best part is you guys start with one bet, and by the end of the trip, there's going to be 12 different bets came off that one bet.
Oh, at least.
If somebody's losing, they go another road.
I bet I can hit that seagull, drop it in the bank, and then
who can get the seagull to eat the bait?
I'll win this bet. Have any of you hit a seagull with a sinker?
No, but I have hit a flathead right in the head though, and I watched it happen on LiveScope.
I've never done that.
I mean, watch a 20-ounce sinker smoking.
Well, that makes me more excited about our trip. So, well, we're an hour 53 in. Then we always end them with the last cast, which is the last cast is kind of like a real last cast where there's like as many as you want. So,
yeah,
Aaron, it's just an opportunity for you to talk about anything we haven't talked about yet that you want to get to, like your guide service, any social media aspects, any sponsorship. That's like the business side of things, or any just like good messages you want to end on. And
Well, as always, as sponsored anglers, we like to thank our sponsors. TWC Jerry with TWC has been real good to show me catfishing and myself. He supplies us with really good rods that we can trust. And Cook's Boats and Motors has been the best to me. So, I'd like to give them two a shout out. Of course, if you guys want to get out there on the big river, call Show Me Catfishing, Trophy Guide Service, and we'd be happy to get everybody out there and do the best we can to get you guys on a fish of a lifetime. And it's always nice to talk to you, Spencer. You're also one of them guys. You're just so easy to talk to. Like, you can start talking to you, and like 2 hours later, you're like, wait a minute, it's only been 10 minutes, but it's really been 2 hours. So
that's the beer's time.
Yeah, he's not that cool when you know him in real life.
Right.
So,
no, to kind of spin off what you're saying, man, like those whisker whips they're just underappreciated rods. Like, I'm a Catch the Fever guy. I've designed rods for Catch the Fever, and whisker whips they just don't get used the way they need to be used. Like, there's so many different aspects where they're such effective fishing rods. They just don't meet the criteria what a lot of dudes look at catfishing tackle. Like, they're not broomsticks, and I'm a believer that broomsticks are not the answer most of the time. There's always
100%. 100%. Yeah.
But for
I
think the whisker whip does a really good job across the board, and what I mean by that is I'm confident I can take my whisker whips out on the Mississippi River and catch big blue cats in fast water. I'm also confident I can take that exact same rod, switch out the size of weight or whatever, and take it straight up to pool 19 and start catching channel cat.
They're just an interesting combination of soft forgivingness and still being able to like hang 32 ounces of lead off the side of the boat and fish effectively.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a rare combination, and for me, and I mean all guides really, we're paid to catch fish, guys. We all want to catch that giant, but at the end of the day, we're paid to catch fish. And, if I'm sitting there using a broomstick, I'm going to miss a lot of small fish that we would catch with a whisker whip.
Well, and some big ones too.
Yeah. It goes across the board. So, I think out there when you're guiding and stuff, I think it's really important to have, rods and the tools at your disposal that you have, meaning your rods and reels and everything. They need to be something that is able to catch, that flathead, that sturgeon, that smaller blue cat, that unexpected catch.
That light 50 pounder,
that light biting 50 pounder. I think there's a lot of people, if they would get away from them broomsticks, they'd catch a lot more fish. So, if they want, they're more than welcome to come out on a trip, and I'll show them what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Get a hold of Show Me, ask for Aaron. You'll have a good time.
Yeah,
don't be nice to him.
Yeah. Give him shit and he'll give it right back.
Yep. Yeah. What do you got, Ryan? What's your last cast?
Oh, it's looking like spring in Iowa.
Oh, I know we got a couple weeks of shit weather coming at some point, but yes,
it's kind of nice. The rivers are opening up, and me and you got out on some walleye the other day. That was fun. So I'm kind of excited. I'm rebirthed every spring. The winter I just kind of hunker down and try to keep my head above water, and then spring comes and it's like I'm alive again. So
we just need a rain.
Yes.
We desperately need rain.
Down would be sweet.
Yeah.
How low's the water up by you guys? There's only 2 or 3 ramps in my area that I know of that you can use right now.
Well, that's normal in Iowa.
Yeah. No, it's low where we're at, but not terrible. Like they're holding water back, so there'll be consistent water this spring regardless. It shouldn't get any lower than it is now for a good long while, at least from Iowa water. But we
Gotcha.
could use some more. We could use some more.
Yeah.
I was hoping to say you guys was going to say, "Oh man, it's flooded out up here. We're going to have to let a lot of water down your way because we need it. We
Not,
need it bad."
That's
not,
happened once in the last 4 years up here.
yeah.
I think the St. Louis gauge got down to negative 4.5 feet, which is the lowest that I've seen it since I started actively watching it.
That's impressive. I've seen -2, but I don't watch it like I do Iowa waters, not even close. And that was low.
Yeah. I mean, it's back up to like 0 now. The last time I checked it, but it got, I mean, negative 4.5 feet. That's like, do we even have any ramps usable?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
And that's why us Iowa boys go to the jet life, because once we get our boat in, you don't stop. You just got to go.
right.
I have 2 boats, and they're both about to be props within the 2 months. Sorry, they're both about to be jets within the 2 months. The one started out as a prop, and it's about to be a jet.
Gotcha.
Right. What do you get? What else you got, Ryan? Anything?
No. Thanks for jumping on, Aaron. It's good to talk to you. I love talking big water because that's my least, that I'm least confident in. So that's the area I need to grow the most in. So I love talking to big water guys, and it's especially someone who's in and out every single day.
Yes.
You can't beat knowledge that's been proven time and time and time again.
1,000,000%.
Now, the best bit of advice I got for anybody out there is persistence, and keep your head high, because we all have bad days. We all have, some of us have more than others, but everybody that fishes or hunts or anything with the outdoors, in my eyes, has a day where it doesn't go as planned.
1,000,000%.
And it makes those great days even greater.
Well, and if
there's spots where you tear them up out there one day and then you don't the next, or that spot doesn't work all year long. Doesn't mean don't go back to that spot ever, but maybe go explore other things.
Yeah.
So,
but like we talked earlier, you've got your honey holes, and if you're going past, you might not fish it, but you're going to take a peek.
I'm going to scan it 100%. So 100%.
Well,
so.
I got to pee, so I'm going to throw mine in real quick and we'll wrap this up. But big thank you to everyone who took the time to listen. Appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Aaron. Like, you guys make this a good time. As far as bait casting stuff goes, advantages, disadvantages, bait casters, crank and power. If you want crank and power, get in a small compact package. Get your bait caster. If you want clunky, awkward, but can cast a light bait further distance, then go spinning tackle, usually channel cats or unique situations for blue cats. That's the way I look at it. I think that's it. I'll see you next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
And Shrimpy will be on board by then.
Well, and that's it. It could get canceled, but I'll keep everyone posted on Facebook. So just check on there, and we'll keep everyone updated. I kind of hope it's canceled, but we'll see how it all goes. But big thanks to everyone listening, watching, all that stuff. And we'll see you either next week or the week after. 2 weeks for sure. Next week, question mark.
Well, congratulations on the baby, Spencer. Hope all goes well with that. And, congratulations on being a new dad, bud.
I'll take both of them, man. Appreciate it. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you.
See you guys.
See ya.